Let me tell you about the day I single-handedly proved that Murphy's Law isn't just a suggestion, it's a lifestyle choice. My name is Dave, and I work in technical support for Megacorp Industries, which is basically corporate speak for we sell things that beep and occasionally work. It was a Tuesday. I should have known right then that disaster was inevitable. Tuesdays are like Mondays wearing a disguise. They pretend to be better, but they're actually worse because they've had time to plan. I walked into the office at precisely 8:59 a.m., clutching my coffee like it was the last functioning piece of technology on Earth. Which, given what happened next, it might have been. My cubicle looked exactly the same as I'd left it the night before. A shrine to broken dreams and energy drink cans, surrounded by monitors that displayed more error messages than a Windows 95 reunion tour. I settled into my chair, which made that familiar "I'm about to collapse and take your dignity with me" creaking sound, and logged into our support system. Immediately, my screen lit up like a Christmas tree having an anxiety attack. 47 tickets, at 9 a.m., on a Tuesday. The first call came in before I could even finish my coffee. "Thank you for calling Megacorp Technical Support. This is Dave. How can I make your day marginally less terrible?" "My computer is broken." The voice on the other end could have shattered glass. I held the phone away from my ear and wondered if my health insurance covered hearing loss. "I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. Can you tell me what seems to be the problem?" "It won't turn on." I took a deep breath and channeled my inner Zen master. "Okay, let's start with the basics. Is the computer plugged in?" There was a pause, a long pause. The kind of pause that tells you someone is looking at their computer like they've never seen one before. "What do you mean, plugged in?" And that's when I knew this was going to be one of those days. 20 minutes later, after walking her through the revolutionary concept of electrical connections, I'd helped Mrs. Henderson from accounting discover that her computer worked much better when it was actually connected to power. Who would have thought? But that was just the warm-up act. My second call was from Jerry in HR, who insisted his mouse was broken because it wouldn't move. After 5 minutes of troubleshooting, I discovered he'd been trying to use his stapler as a mouse for the past hour. His explanation: "They're both gray and rectangular." I made a note in his file: "Possible vision problems or brain problems, unclear which." By 10:30, I'd dealt with a woman who thought logging in meant she needed to chop wood, a man who'd been typing his password with caps lock on for 3 weeks and assumed hackers were changing it daily, someone who called because their computer screen was too bright. They'd been staring directly at a desk lamp. But then came the call that would haunt my dreams and probably end up in tech support legend. "Tech support, this is Dave." "Dave, thank God. This is Marcus from the executive floor. We have a situation." Marcus was our CEO's personal IT guy, which meant he knew just enough about computers to be dangerous and just enough about politics to make my life miserable. "What's the situation, Marcus?" "I was trying to optimize our network performance, and I think I might have accidentally. Well, I might have broken the internet." I blinked. "I'm sorry, what now?" "The internet, Dave, the whole thing. Nobody in the building can get online. Emails aren't working, and Janet from marketing is having a breakdown because she can't post her lunch on Instagram." I looked at my computer screen. Sure enough, no internet connection. I checked with my cubicle neighbor, Todd, who was frantically clicking refresh on what appeared to be a dating site. He shook his head solemnly. "Marcus," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "what exactly did you do?" "Well, I read this article about improving network speed, and it said something about releasing IP addresses to optimize bandwidth allocation. So I thought I'd release all the IP addresses. You know, for maximum optimization." I put my head in my hands. "Marcus, please tell me you didn't." "I released every IP address in our network range, all of them. The article said it would make everything faster." "That article was probably talking about releasing one unused IP address, not—" I stopped. There was no point. The damage was done. Marcus had essentially told every device in our building to forget how to talk to the internet. It was like giving amnesia to every phone in the city and then wondering why nobody could make calls. "How do we fix it?" Marcus asked, and I could hear the panic in his voice. I looked around the office. 300 employees, all staring at their screens like they were ancient relics from a lost civilization, which technically they were now. "Okay, Marcus, don't panic. We can fix this. It'll just take a while." What I didn't tell him was that a while meant manually reconfiguring every single network device in the building. All 847 of them. while explaining to increasingly agitated employees why they couldn't check Facebook. I grabbed my emergency supply of energy drinks and prepared for war. The next 6 hours were a blur of network cables, angry office workers, and increasingly creative explanations for why the internet was temporarily indisposed. I told one person it had gone to lunch. I told another it was taking a personal day. By hour 4, I was telling people the internet had joined a monastery and taken a vow of silence. Meanwhile, I was crawling under desks, reconfiguring routers, and explaining to grown adults why they couldn't just unplug the building and plug it back in to fix everything. The highlight was when Karen from sales cornered me by the water cooler. "Dave, this is unacceptable. I have very important emails to send." "I understand your frustration, Karen. What kind of emails?" "I need to forward my nephew's graduation photos to 17 different people." I stared at her. "Karen, your nephew's graduation is in 6 months. I like to plan ahead." By 3 p.m., I developed a nervous twitch and started referring to myself in the third person. "Dave needs coffee. Dave needs a vacation. Dave needs a new career." But slowly, methodically, I brought each device back online. Router by router, switch by switch, like a digital medic performing CPR on the entire building's network infrastructure. The first computer that connected to the internet let out a Windows chime that sounded like a choir of angels. I may have cried a little. By 5 p.m., I'd restored internet access to 98% of the building. The remaining 2% consisted of Janet from marketing, who'd spent the day having a legitimate breakdown about her Instagram dependency, and one printer that had apparently achieved sentience and was now refusing to cooperate on principle. As I finally prepared to leave, Marcus appeared at my cubicle with a sheepish grin and a bottle of expensive whiskey. "Dave, I can't thank you enough. You're a hero. A digital savior." "Hey." "Marcus," I interrupted, "promise me something." "Anything." "Never ever read another tech article again. If you want to optimize something, ask me first. If you want to improve performance, ask me first. If you want to release anything, ask me first." He nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely, you got it. I'll never touch another network setting again." I should have known better. The next morning, I walked into the office to find an email from Marcus with the subject line, "Great news! I found an article about optimizing our email server." I immediately updated my resume and started browsing job listings for lighthouse keeper positions, preferably on a remote island with no internet access. Because if there's one thing I learned from my career in tech support, it's this: the problem is never the technology. The problem is the people who use it, and sometimes the people who try to fix it. And that's how I single-handedly broke the internet, saved the internet, and lost what remained of my faith in humanity, all before lunch on a Tuesday. The end. P.S. Marcus is now the head of IT security. I've started looking into that lighthouse job more seriously.